Hi, my name is Patrick Bolger, Chief Evangelist at Hornbill Service Management, and today we're talking about demonstrating value as IT being framed. This session called Mission Impossible was something I did at the Service Desk Institute conference in June 2013, and this is an abridged version where we're just going to touch on some of the highlights of the session itself. So it was based on some research that Hornbill did in conjunction with SDI in May 2013, where we talked to 100 SDI members and 200 UK CIOs. And the idea was to get their different perspectives and compare and contrast the views of those executives and practitioners. So we started with CIOs, and we asked them, how do other senior executives outside of the IT function view IT's role in the business? So what are we there to do? Surprisingly, 27% of them, only 27%, see us as a strategic business unit, so contributing to the goals of the business. And the remaining 73% believe that we're there like a utility, either to reduce cost, increase operational efficiency, or as a necessary trading expense. We asked those executives to agree or disagree with a statement which said that senior executives and business units are not very effective in communicating strategy or business goals to IT. And really, that was quite shocking in that over 2/3 actually agreed that the business has a way to go in communicating its goals. We asked the same CIOs, does IT actually understand the mission and vision of the organization and the objectives and goals of business units? And again, 67% said yes, 33% said no. So again, even though the figure of 67% is high, that's still quite shocking. Still quite shocking that we're a third that believe we don't understand the mission and vision of the organization. So we asked SDI members, service desk managers, can members of your service desk team clearly articulate the vision and mission of your business? Quite shocking, really. 57% said yes, but that was down 10% from the 67% of CIOs that believed that we could, and 43% saying no. So almost half can't articulate the mission and vision of their business. We asked SDI members, do they have enough understanding of the goals that are set for business units? So things like improving sales, kind of increasing marketing penetration, etc. And again, 57%, well over half, saying no, we don't understand what those business unit goals are. Quite frightening. We asked CIOs, do service desk members have enough time to spend with business units so that we can develop an understanding of those goals and needs? 53% said no, we don't, and 47% yes, we have. When we compared that with SDI members, and we asked them if the service desk is afforded the time to spend with business units, 66% said no. Again, that's down 13% compared with the CIO's view. We then asked SDI members, when the service desk gets requests from the business, do we measure the contribution of what IT does to address that service request and actually contribute to business goals? Only 16% do, so 84% not tracking IT contribution at all. We asked CIOs how performance and value of IT is measured by the business, and what we see here is 17% has no KPIs in place at all, but the majority, 33% and 21%, are either using SLAs, uptime, availability, that type of thing, or customer satisfaction to measure IT's contribution. Only 29% actually tracking IT's value by contribution to business objectives. So we asked service desk members, do you believe that IT could do better in advising how technology could be used to allow the business units to achieve their goals more effectively? A whopping 98% believe that IT can do a better job. So let's look at how. So we see here in first place, SDI members believe that we need to improve collaboration between IT and business units so that we can understand what we need to do to deliver a better outcome. 92% believe that we need to get rid of some of those low-value interactions that tie up our time. 82% said better metrics and KPIs so that basically the business can understand what IT does to contribute to business value. And 69% said we need clearer communication from executives about business plans and goals. So clearly we've got a bit of an issue. In IT, I think we view ourselves as Ethan Hunt. So, but I think we do have an image problem, because I think the business may view us from time to time more like Johnny English. And we really have to address that image problem and address our approach to value if we're going to be seen as a strategic partner. The issue, I think, is this. So I borrowed this from Ian Clayton's USM BOK. And what Ian is saying on the right-hand side, we've got the traditional framework approach, where we kind of center, or we're focused on things like infrastructure, on things like best practice and processes and capabilities and maturity. And we hope over time to mature, moving to the left, to get to what the customer is really concerned with, or what the business is really concerned with. Things like their customer experience, satisfaction levels, touch points, successful customer outcomes. And really we may be approaching this in the wrong fashion. So from the inside out as opposed to from the outside in. Why is that? Well, effectively, working in IT, describing it in one word, I like to use this little cartoon: overwhelmed. We keep taking on more and more load, and as the picture suggests, that can make us ineffective and can leave our ass exposed. So we need to address this. I like to use this little analogy as well. So a lot of the time with infrastructure growing, technology expanding all the time, we seem to spend most of our time fixing stuff and bailing out and trying to deal with issues. And if we're doing that all the time, we really can't paddle forward. So we've got to find a way of addressing the bailing out issue so that we can move forward. To adjust the balance, there's a simple little quadrant, which unfortunately I can't remember the source. I just found this on the internet. But essentially what this says is there are 4 areas. In the bottom left: elimination. If something's an irritant to the customer and to you, so here it says the customer and the company, replace that with the user and IT. It's the same principle, it works for both. If we can eliminate those irritants, things like root cause analysis, problem management, etc., take away the stuff that really neither one of us want to be doing. If something's of value to us but an irritant to the customer, then we look to simplify it. If something's of value to the customer but an irritant to us, we look to automate it. So things like self-service. And really, once we've done those things, we can start to spend more time in the area on the top right, leverage, where basically we're delivering value to both ourselves and to the customer. This is all well and good to throw these terms around, but now let's look at some practical examples of how you might do that. Where you might start, take advice from Steve Jobs. He always advocated starting with the customer experience and working back towards the technology, not the other way around. And I believe a lot of the time in IT, we certainly don't follow that advice. So here's a few ideas. So one of the first ones here, getting serious about your service experience. Customers are individuals. They have different needs. They've got different levels of experience. And here's a good idea, just to possibly allow you to give you some ideas of what you can do at your own service management application. In this case, we've added a customer profile. It gives me the date that this customer started with us, so she's been with us since 2006. She should know our processes, our applications. Her technical skills, however, are low. And what that means is I'm not going to ask her to do anything particularly complex. And we can also see a little traffic light, which is currently amber or yellow, which means that she's neither super impressed or super fed up with the service that she's received. When she calls the service desk, we also highlight the services that are really important to her. So if she's calling about one of these, I may have to jump a little bit higher than I ordinarily would. Of course, we have all the information from the CMDB to support that, but that's not what's important. From the customer's perspective, we need to know what they're doing, why it's important, and how we can support them best, because customers are individuals and so are their interactions. Firefighting. We seem to spend a lot of time doing that. Here's a basic example with some problem management, how you can start addressing some of this. So here we've got a problem with a given service. We've categorized that particular service, and underneath the service management application is telling us, look, there are problems or known errors that relate to that same profile. You might want to have a look at those. What we then can do is pull up the known error and see that actually there's a workaround in place, and we can provide this workaround to the customer or actually publish it out to self-service. And when new incidents come in with any of the following keywords, the service desk gets prompted to say, look, have a look. There are things in certain areas where you might be able to find a resolution to this. You might be able to provide that to the customer quicker. Low value interactions, so things like what's happening with my incident or what's happening with my service request. There's no real reason as a customer I would want to call the service desk to find that out. There's no reason for the service desk to have to take that additional workload, so provide it via self-service. Let the customer go in, view their service requests and incidents online, and track the progress. They're more than happy to do that, and it will take away a lot of small interactions that amount to a large amount of time. Another great example here is possibly a little bit more progressive, but one of our customers has taken content from their supplier and linked it into their supplier's website, where basically someone can request a piece of equipment. That equipment will always be current. It's delivered straight from the manufacturer's website, and they can answer some questions. So let's say it's a new BlackBerry, what type of data plan do I want, etc. That can be pre-authorized to a certain level or require authorization if it's above a certain level. And once a request is submitted, the tasks are then assigned to the supplier to provide it to the purchasing organization, to the IT organization, so everyone knows what's coming down the line, and the customer can actually track the progress of that service request via the self-service interface.
My name's Phil Hercombe. I'm the European Projects Manager at Knight Frank, which means I'm responsible for the integration of all our various business units around Europe and Middle East. Over the last 12 to 18 months, we have had to deal with a number of reasonably significant changes, probably the most significant of which has been the fact that we've completely changed our desktop architecture. Additionally, we've had to cope with some of the fairly inevitable things that almost all businesses will do at the moment. The uncertain economic times, we can't just spend money willy-nilly. We're having to justify our existence at every turn. The business is demanding more from the same amount of resources. About 3 years ago, we started focusing on getting people to log issues through self-service, and we've been, it turns out, very successful doing that, where we consistently get 75 to 80% of all our tickets raised through self-service, which means we can then make big changes without having to gear up for additional resource being required to handle the inevitable increase in call volume that comes through. The focus on self-service certainly paid off in that regard, that we were able to actually take people out of the service desk to help with the implementation of the new environment, whilst at the same time coping with an increase in the number of calls. It's very important to have a strong service desk for us to support our users. There's a clear direction from our IT director that we employ people in the department whose primary task is to deliver new benefits to the firm. I think top tips if people are looking to try and undergo an improvement process in their service desk is don't lose track of who it is ultimately you're trying to benefit, that these things shouldn't be done for the benefit of IT, they should be done for the benefit of your end users and your customers.
One of the key messages for me was right at the end, so where Phil says don't lose track of who you're trying to benefit, that things should be done for the benefit of your users and your customers and not necessarily IT. IT benefit comes as a matter of course. I now want to direct you at another customer that's actually implemented self-service with knowledge management, and again through listening to their customers and providing the documents that they are searching for. Well, I'll let them explain it to you themselves. So this is Adam Payton from IDBS.
The biggest successes at IDBS and for the support team and myself, there's actually been a number of them, but really the single biggest success was in 2011, the number of issues coming into support that were self-serviced, i.e. the customer answered the question themselves, actually outstripped the number of issues being dealt with by physical people in the team. So we were able to deal with 100% more issues than we had been prior to the implementation.
I would say the most important improvement that we've delivered is definitely the quality of the knowledge base, and the customers can now search it themselves to find information. Senior
management have seen the biggest changes with regards to self-service, being able to provide information to our customers in real time. The team themselves see that they have great value within the organisation in that they're able to influence how a customer actually feels about the quality of IDBS and the quality of its software via the services that they deliver. Positive customer feedback is the single biggest metric, key performance indicator that there is in customer support. We have had comments such as best service desk ever, I love dealing with you guys, which helps the team and helps senior management see our usefulness and value.
It's been fantastic to work for DBS Support, and we're continuously developing our support team to strive to give the best customer service.
So with both organisations, one key thing comes out for me, and that's focus on benefiting the customer and focus on continual improvement of the service. So let's get on to a couple of other ideas. So opportunities to improve. Again, this comes from one of our customers from Southend-on-Sea. They're a local council. And one of the things they implemented just to improve the feedback they're getting on their incidents is this kind of smiley, poker and sad face. And instead of asking customers to log several or answer several questions, they just said, look, click on one of these and tell us how we did. And that drove their response on closed incidents from 8% to 32% in the space of 1 week. Additionally, anyone who leaves negative feedback and provides a comment will get a call back from the service desk, so the customer knows that they're striving for continuing improvement. A service safari is a good idea. Just getting your IT or service desk staff to spend time with business units, not necessarily interfering, but just learning what they do and understanding the role IT plays in that. And then coming back to the team and saying to their colleagues, look, if we could just change one thing, what would it be? And just changing those little things time after time to ensure that continual improvement and continual focus on this service experience. We're not very good in IT at showing how adept we are with technology. So one of the things we could do are producing videos for the top 5 incidents, sharing them and publishing them out to customers. You find that customers are far more likely to watch a video than read a document. Understanding demand for customers using their own devices. Encourage them to register by providing a community access where they can help themselves. Publish some content so you can say, look, we don't support these, but if you want to connect to your email, this is how you do it. And understanding, for example, say there's a big use of Dropbox, can we provide a file service that actually gives the same function? Don't rest in your laurels, hold IT open days and seek new ways to engage. Things like podcasts work particularly well. And another thing you can do, which we've started to do, is monitoring social channels for discussions about our company or even providing support. And let me give you a prime example here. We had this tweet come from one of the end users of our service desk, Supportworks, and it's not something you want to see as a service management vendor. For those of you who want to get a service desk application for your business, don't get Supportworks. Fail, bad day at the office. Now, we could have missed that, but because we were listening, we contacted this organization and said, what's the problem? Turned out they were having an issue with Selfservice and just didn't have the rights to do something, so we organized that. And a couple of days later, we get very impressed. Hornbill rang me to find out why I was having an issue with Supportworks after I tweeted great customer service. So you really turn those detractors into supporters simply by being a bit more proactive. So a little summary. You're trying to deliver value. Don't start with the infrastructure. Start with the customer. That's where value begins. The frameworks will help you, but they just offer guidance. Frameworks by themselves won't necessarily solve your problems. The business must help you to manage IT demand. You've got limited resources and budget. You can't do everything. ISO 38500 is a great standard to give perhaps to business people to help them understand what they need to do in terms of IT governance. Be innovative and change the ways you look to engage with your customers. One particular method or channel of engagement is not always good enough. Be serious about your service experience. Understand customers are different, are individuals, and have individual needs. Work with them to design self-service for their needs, not for the benefit of IT. Get those low-value interactions automated wherever possible. Start on problem management. You'll get an immediate return, provided you can provide the resource and not pull them off them to do other things. Look for more opportunities for the high-value interactions, the things that help business units achieve their goals. Prove you're the masters of IT by showing what you can do with technology, and then get serious about CSI or continuing improvement. It's not about implementing a process. It's about taking on a particular attitude and performing actions. So, mission is possible, and your ITSM protocol should be about the implementation and management of quality IT services, but don't forget, in red, that meet the needs of the business. So finally, what I'd say is, if you're supporting outcomes and non-technology, you really don't need to worry about what your customers say about you. If you shift your focus, to what their customers say about them. If you can get that right, you will be making it happen. So thank you very much. My contact details are there. There are more videos and more information on the Let's Make It Happen URL, which is listed there. And of course, you can download the report and other resources from the Hornbill website. Thank you very much, and I sincerely hope this helps you make IT happen.